afternoon to my Priority One Travel followers. It is the Priority One Travel Facebook Live podcast, Zoomapalooza, that we've been doing lately. Today, I have two very dear friends of mine who are also travel agents that have recently traveled to Mexico, and we are going to talk with them about their recent travels. The one thing I will emphasize, just like I have consistently through this, is none of what you're about to hear is myself or them or anyone strong-arming you and telling you it's safe to travel, you need to go. That's your personal decision. That's something you have to deal with. The intent of today and all of these is to provide you information. Should you feel comfortable to do so, you're aware of what's going on. So as I'm making sure that we're really streaming and we're not just talking to myself, I'm going to allow Samara and Tracy to introduce themselves. Samara, please introduce yourself, what agency you own, and a little bit about yourself.
Well, thank you, Dale, for having me. What a pleasure, and I love seeing my friends' faces on here. So my name is Samara Mile, and I am the owner of Amarillo Travel Network. I've been in the travel business for almost 18 years and have owned my agency for 16 years, and I love talking about Mexico.
Perfect, and that's what we're here to talk about. Tracy, feel free to introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Tracy Lehman, and I'm from a little town in Brenham, Texas. Some of you might have heard of Bluebell Ice Cream. We are famous for that here. I've been with Brazos Country Travel, who I am partner with, and for over 30 years. So I've been in this business for a long time, seen lots of changes, and like Samara, Mexico is one of my very favorite destinations and was excited about being able to be back there this last week.
That's fantastic. And so a fun fact is that Tracy and Samara, I actually met them for the first time in October on a cruise out of Galveston to Mexico. And we are all part of a larger organization, Leisure Travel Alliance. And we all networked and became dear friends as a result of that trip. So they are definitely trusted sources about the information we're going to talk about. So I guess let's just start with some of the knowns, right? So to go to Mexico right now, they don't require a PCR test. That's correct, right?
That is correct.
And there's no special, other than masking, there was no other special steps you had to take at the airport, correct? Temperature screening, masking.
Correct. They had the thermal temperatures when you guys, when we boarded the plane and entered the baggage claim area.
Okay. So that's pretty consistent, because I think you guys fly out of different airports, or did you guys fly out of the same airport?
Different. I went from Amarillo to Dallas, and I believe you went out of Houston. Is that right?
Right. I went out of Hobby. Direct. Mm-hmm. Correct.
Okay. But similar experiences across the board as far as that goes. Okay, so let's talk about when you arrived into Mexico. What did you experience there? I guess I should probably MC this a little bit here. We'll start with Tracy. Tracy, what was your experience when you arrived at the airport?
Well, I thought it was very nice, very clean. The social distancing was practiced for sure. Going through customs, they seem to have more lines open in order to get people through quicker. I noticed there was lots of cleaning. Once the baggage claim area, people claimed their luggage, there was somebody coming back through and cleaning all of the floors and the conveyor belts that the luggage was on. And the customs was the same, and they asked you questions about what you had. And then the transfer area, where you picked up your ground transfers. We used Long Miss Travel, who is my preferred supplier for transfers in the Cancun, Cozumel area. Were meeting us. They also had face masks on and hand sanitizer for us. They sprayed down our luggage for us before they handled it and put it into our car. We had hand sanitizer again upon entering the car. We all kept our face masks on, including all of me and my guests, as well as the driver. The only time we took them off is when we were drinking our beer on our way to the hotel. But it was very encouraging to know that extra steps and precautions were taken as far as our safety, but as far as theirs as well. So.
Okay. And Samara, same experience for you. Nothing different there.
Yes, that's correct. So my first trip I went on was at the end of June, and honestly, there were some hotels that were not even fully open yet until July 1. So I went that week before and was invited by my Hard Rock hotel rep and had a wonderful experience. There was just 5 of us, so that we were in a small group. And I was just incredibly impressed when we arrived to the airport and found it to be, I've always thought it was clean. They're always cleaning in Mexico. It just seems like, you just can't go anywhere without seeing a little worker cleaning. And that always just makes an impact on me because I always feel like they're hard workers there. But I remember going into the bathroom and as soon as somebody would use the sink, a lady would wipe down the area. And I thought, oh my goodness, this airport's so clean I could eat off the floor. And I felt very comfortable. And one of the newer terminals they're using is very large, so it allows for a lot of social distancing. They do have the thermal scanning like Tracy mentioned. And I'm telling you, for them to your transportation, everything, to sanitize your luggage before they put it in a vehicle, when they pull it out of the vehicle at a resort, was very impressive to me. On this last trip I went and saw some hotels while I was down there, and the company that took us for transfers even would sanitize our shoes before we got on and off the transfer. So they are doing so much and going above and beyond. I was very comfortable flying in my local airport as well as through DFW. I love the DFW airport. It's kind of a home airport for me. But I thought, they're not even doing anything like what Mexico's doing. And I've heard a lot of reports for other destinations such as Cabo and Puerto Vallarta are doing very, very similar protocols.
Okay. And so, it's something that you brought up made me just think about this. The hotels in general that you saw, and we can talk about some of the ones you saw, but I keep hearing 30% is the number, 20 to 30% occupancy. Is that still pretty consistent? Would you both agree with that?
Yes. I think that it's per government orders. They can't be more than that, or they could be shut down. Now, obviously, that is a different number for each hotel because, for example, a Hard Rock hotel, Riviera Maya, is much larger than the Eldorado Maroma property, so their 30% numbers are going to be big, but that Hard Rock property is also way bigger than an Eldorado Maroma property. So it is based on whatever rooms you have, the 30% occupancy. And I saw 7 hotels over my 2 visits and felt very secure and felt like they were really doing a lot. And you could tell that they were not, obviously full, but the staff was going above and beyond to make guests feel comfortable and special. And, the 2 hotels I stayed at out of the 7, we got to see nightly entertainment, and they were really doing whatever they could to entertain the guests, and it was great.
Okay, perfect. And so just because people are popping in and out, and we're with Samara and Tracy, 2 travel agents that have recently been to Mexico, kind of talking about their experiences. So if you do have questions, please shoot them to me here on Facebook. When I'm looking all over the place, first of all, I have ADD. There's no judging. Second of all, I'm looking all over the place because I've got multiple screens with multiple things going on, and I'm just looking to see if people do ask any questions. So, Tracy, I'll ask you because I'm emceeing this. Yeah, I'm in charge. So anyways, so
man, Dan.
Yeah. I'm running this ship.
Dale, I wish they
So,
could find something to rhyme with Dale.
so off property, I know certain destinations are like establishing what they're calling like tourism corridors or whatever. Were you able to do anything off property? Were you able to experience some of the, I guess we'll say, touristy excursion type stuff? Is that available to the travelers that do go?
There are some excursions available. I do know deep sea fishing is available. I understand that in Quintana Roo, that Tulum and Coba and those archaeological sites are going to start to open soon. Like Samara, this was really more of a working trip for me to go down and to check the protocols and actually to see some resorts that I have not had the opportunity to get to see. And this was a great opportunity to do that. So on this last day, I stayed in for a week, and I stayed in 2 separate hotels and toured 3 additional. So I really didn't have a lot of time to do any off-site excursions per se. But I do know that there are some. I know that the Xcaret parks, some of them have begun to open. And like Samara said, the government is really in charge, and rightfully so, on the number of people who can enter each park per day. And I think it's great that they are starting to move forward. I think we're going to see a lot more of this as long as everybody remains in compliance and takes care of themselves and follow some of the protocols. We're going to see more and more activities in the Cancun and Cozumel and Cabo and Puerto Vallarta area start to open up again.
Okay. And I do think, I mean, I do have thoughts and feelings, and just like everyone else about this, but I do think that there is a balance point with all of this, including traveling. And again, and that's why I emphasize, for some it's right, for some it's not, for some you're comfortable, for some you're not. But it does seem to be a consistent theme that, I mean, Mexico is very concerned about tourism because that's probably their main source of income, and so they want to make sure that they are doing it right so that they don't have a relapse of shutdown and whatever. Samara, let's start with you. I know you. If I had to guess, every hotel you stayed at probably had similar policies in place. You probably observed the same thing over and over again. So I don't need, you don't need to explain to me 5 different hotels what you saw, but just pick one and talk about what you saw as far as sanitation and distancing and dining and that type of stuff. Kind of just give us your take on where it was and what you saw.
So consistently across the board, like when you arrived, like I said, a lot of times your shoes were sanitized upon arrival, your luggage. So as they were pulling it out of the transfer vans, the bellmen were spraying it down and getting it ready to be taken to your room. They would have these special mats that you would stand on to clean your shoes. And that way, as you were walking through a lobby or through the door of a restaurant or through the spa, your shoes and feet were sanitized first. So I was really impressed by that. I'd never seen anything like that before in my life. And that was across the board at all of them. A few of the hotels did the thermal imaging as well. All of them that I was at took our temperature upon arrival, whether we were just doing site inspections or we were staying there. And so they were going above and beyond. Every staff member had on a mask. Most had gloves on, and many of them had face shields they wore as well. A sweet story about that. I was staying at the Hard Rock Riviera Maya, and it was a very hot day one day, and we were sitting out under a palapa by the pool. We had ordered food. They have some really good food out there by the pool. And swim-up bars aren't open, but the waiter service, so they have wait service around the pool area. So the waiters and waitresses and servers and bartenders were busy. And I was watching the bartenders. They were just fast and furious making drinks, and it was very hot out. And even though they were in the shade, they were working hard. And they would take their masks off, wash their face, put their mask back on. They were wearing gloves. And it touched me so much just how careful they were in what they were trying to do, even though it was so hot. And I can't imagine, how they were feeling working so hard, having to be so covered up. And here I am sitting in a bathing suit, no mask on, because we were not required to wear one by the pool. And we were obviously social distanced from other people. I was just with my small group. And that night at dinner, I was sitting next to one of the Hard Rock representatives, and I just expressed my thanks to her for how the staff was treating everybody and what they were doing. And she said, Samara, they are so happy to do it. They just love working, and they're just so happy to have tourism down here. It means so much to them that you are here, that they will do whatever it takes to make sure you're safe. And it made me about cry, because I thought, they are just so selfless and hardworking down there. And I really reinforced the fact that Mexico is a true tourism partner with the travel agents, and trying to bring back the tourism in a safe way.
Absolutely. And I asked this yesterday, and I don't know if either one of you can answer this. And I mean, I'm bringing this up only because it is reality. Mexico as a country has a higher amount of cases than other countries. Sure. And as a matter of fact, it was Travel Pulse, Travel Weekly. One of the trade journals today said, the U.S. State Department of Travel has raised Mexico to a level 4, but each individual state is at its own level. So like Cancun is still like a level 2, which I think it's been a level 2. Cabo San Lucas is a 2 or a 3, which I think it's consistently been. Tulum, same thing. So of course, obviously, if you just read the headline, you go, this is terrible, but you have to dig a little bit deeper past the headline. So anyways, I guess one thing I did want to know is did any of the hotels, did any of the tour operators, did they mention is staff kind of living like what we're calling in the United States with like our sports teams, right? Like if you want to play sports, you have to live in the bubble, and you have to kind of isolate yourself. What did they make any mention of what the hotels and staff are doing as far as that goes to, I guess for lack of better words, reduce community spread to the staff at the hotel or anything like that? Was anything like that discussed?
Not necessarily, but I will say I do know in general that a lot of the resorts do have accommodations for a lot of their staff to stay in. For example, if they work a late party or an event, a lot of times staff will stay for a few days or a night or two. So I'm sure there could be more of that. But from what I understood, what was more talked about is every day, every staff member comes and they have a temperature check. Sure. They have a wellness check. I know Lomas, who is one of our large partners in with our DMC in Cancun and Cozumel, like Tracy mentioned, they are consistently keeping they're up with their employees' health, and they're going above and beyond, making sure. So I'm sure that there is some requests and protocols that they have put on their employees that I did not specifically ask those questions, but I will say because they were masked up and had shields and had gloves on, and there was hand sanitizer everywhere, that I felt personally fine. I don't know.
Absolutely. And honestly, that sounds no different than, me when I go to the firehouse. Every day I go to the firehouse, I have to take my temperature, I have to answer a questionnaire, so I mean, and I consider that taking steps to monitor your employees' health. So that sounds, comparable. But I was just kind of curious because I remember when I was down in the Dominican Republic, we stayed at Iberostar Grand, and they had apartments outside of the resort for the employees, and they would stay there for like 2 weeks, and then they would go home, and then they would come back, and right. So anyways, so Tracy, is there anything you can add to that as far as your observations at any of the hotels? A lot of people seem to worry about, I'll put this to you first, I guess. A lot of people seem to ask, the restaurants, like what is dining like inside, is it similar to the US where they're kind of blocking off sections? I mean, are they, how is that working?
Right. And so I'm going to use, we stayed at the Grand Fiesta Americana Coral Beach, which is new to all-inclusive. I'm very excited about that hotel. Oh my God, I'm just like, and so fortunate to be able to have stayed in with their new, the new all-inclusive plan. And I'm going to use them as an example. And all the hotels are basically doing the same thing. So a lot of their restaurants are located off of the lobby area. So, and their lobby area is an enclosed area. So even the guests at the hotel were wearing masks. And we wore ours from the time we left our room to the only time we took them off was when we were outside by the pool, like Samara had said, or on the beach. When we entered, every restaurant, be it the breakfast buffet, which is actually a la carte now, in the mornings, to the nice restaurants in the evenings, La Jolla, which is their Mexican food restaurant, temperatures are taking. Everybody's temperature is taken upon entry to every restaurant. It doesn't matter how many times a day you go. And if you go out to use the restroom, you come back, the temperature is taken again.
Sure.
And social distancing in the restaurants are the same as here. They only allow 6 per table. So if you have a group of 7 or 8, you are asked to have, they will not seat more than 6 at a table. And distancing is practiced between tables and booths. They do have booths marked off to where people don't sit next to each other. So it was a very good experience. All of the waiters and the bar staff, like Samara had said, have the face masks, the shields. They're not always hovering over your table, which is pleasant. Honestly, and if you need something, they're there. They're watching. They watch you, and so if you look like you need something, they are right there for you. So the experience was amazing, really, truly was.
Well, and again, I mean, you know, it sounds very thorough and in depth. You know, I mean, again, you walk out, you walk out to use the restroom, you run to your room, whatever. You know, they could just bat an eye, turn their, we saw you come in earlier, we know you don't have a fever, but like that's very in depth. That's actually really encouraging.
Right. And I also had the opportunity to stay at the Eldorado Casitas, and to me that's one of my most favorite. To me it's home, and it was an unexpected stay, and to be able to be back at that property was amazing. And they're doing the same thing as far as the restaurants. The tables were far apart. The staff wore face masks and shields. Another thing, and I'm not sure if the Hard Rock was doing this, Samara, but they used QR codes for the menus. So there are no paper menus in the bars or the restaurants, and you take a picture of the QR code on your phone and the menu pops up. And I think that's fabulous. I wish more restaurants here would do that. And the Eldorado Casitas, Eldorado Royale Casitas, were doing the same thing, same protocols, amazing food, none of that has changed. So I can't fault them at all.
No, and the QR code thing, I mean, like, honestly, you almost wonder how much of this stuff, when this is done, whenever that is, like how much of that stuff carries over in the future, like, that doesn't, less trees, less paper, less this, less that, that's actually kind of neat. All right, so let's see. We've talked about cleaning. We've talked about the rooms. We've talked about restaurants, entertainment.
Bill, can I mention something? Sure. And Tracy touched on some of this too, and I know she probably experienced the same, but every hotel I stayed at and I saw, they would literally like seal the room up after it was cleaned. A lot of them actually had a seal, like when you actually open the door, you had to break the seal. And one place that I was super impressed with that really went above and beyond, and I thought they did a really great job, was at the Hard Rock. They would not let any staff after the room was clean enter the room. So if you ordered room service, or let's say you needed to order something to the room, like they did not have ironing boards and irons in the room, or coffee makers, because they were high touch items. Sure. And so they would clean them, and then they would wrap all of that in plastic. And so if you needed an ironing board, an iron, or the coffee maker, they would bring it to you and it'd be packaged up. So it'd been sanitized. And so, like, for example, they would not enter the room. They would just give it to you at the door, but they were so quick to bring it. Like, I remember calling for something, and I'm like, oh, you are here already. And I ordered a blow dryer because there wasn't a blow dryer in the room, because, again, that's something that a lot of people can kind of touch on and whatever. And so again, my stay at the Hyatt Ziva was also very positive too. And you had to order a few things in the room, but I was so impressed with how all these properties are like sealing up the room, making sure. A lot of them do not, like with all the playa resorts, I know that they were very, very specific in telling us that for 24 hours or more, a room is not occupied. So once they clean it, somebody is not immediately put into that room. And since they're only at 30% occupancy, it's very easy for them to rotate rooms out of inventory. And they were just allowing those rooms to be able to be sanitized for a full 24 hours before anyone knew was.
And you know, that, I mean, that does bring up a very good point. So the room gets cleaned, the room gets sealed, and then it sits, you know, and you're right, because if a resort has 100 ocean view rooms and only 30 of those are occupied, it gives plenty of time to
Yes.
do it right, to you know, think it through, do it right. Again, I mean, you know, and I don't know, like, you know, people say, oh, well, they should have been doing this in the first place. And I don't know that necessarily hotels were not, I mean, there's a bad apple somewhere everywhere. But like, again, I think that there is something to be said for this practice now and for the future. You know, I do think that this has taught us a lot. So I guess, so let's talk coming home. I mean, like, was there anything that stood out coming back through the airport, you know, to return home? Was anything, I'm assuming same thing, temperature scan, you know, was there any sanitation there? Was there any?
I'll share my experience real quick. So when Lomas dropped me off, like this last trip, you know, of course, they unload me. He offered me hand sanitizer. I was in my mask when I entered the airport, but I had a Lomas rep actually walk me up to the kiosk where you check in, and he kind of helped handle me checking me in at the kiosk, and he was all masked up and prepped up, of course. And then once I got done with that, he had me scan a QR code that was posted by the airline area, and I had to fill out a health questionnaire. It was a really easy questionnaire to fill out on my phone. I just took a picture of the QR code. It popped up. It was easy stuff. They wanted just to know where I'd been in the last 14 days, if I'd been to any other countries, you know, just things of that nature, my personal information, if I'd been around anyone who'd been sick. And that had to be filled out before I went through security. So once that was filled out and we got up through security, there was thermal checks being gone there. I never saw anyone get pulled aside, but I did watch the screen, and they were very much watching that. And as people came by, and they made you move quickly through there was no lingering. And so they had somebody specifically looking at the screen, watching the thermal scanning. And then we went through security, and that's when they scanned my health questionnaire. And it was super easy. It was nothing hard. And with this day and age of everyone having a smartphone, it was very simple. I would assume they have an alternative if for some reason someone does not have a smartphone. I did see a few people get some paper scanned that I almost wondered if were maybe the same thing, but a paper form.
Sure.
But anyway.
Okay. No, I mean, this is exactly the stuff that I want to discuss. You know, I kind of wanted to talk end to end. So I'm trying to think as far as any of that's concerned. I mean, there's obviously probably so many things we could talk about. So I guess I'll ask both of you, Tracy, if you could summarize your experience in a sentence or two from start to finish. How would you describe your recent trip to Mexico?
Yeah, I think it was fantastic. And like the three of us discussed earlier, it just felt normal. I mean, it felt nice to feel normal for a few days. And for mental capacity, or lack of sometimes, I needed that. Personally, I needed that. I know a lot of us out there could use a little bit of normalcy, even if just for a few days. And so for me, that was nice. And I'm going back to Mexico on the 24th. There's 8 of us travel agents, and we are going for 3 days, and we're not working. We are going to be tourists. We are going down and actually decompressing for 3 days. So that in itself should speak volumes on the comfort level of wanting to travel and being able to travel. and being taking precautions. I mean, we're not silly, right? And we know that we need to take precautions. And I think that if we all do our part in taking these precautions, travel will pick up again. And I think more people will feel more comfortable traveling in the future. And that, for me, is amazing. So.
Excellent. And Samara, you how sum it up for a couple sentences too.
Well, it always feels like going home any part of Mexico we go to. I'm actually leaving for Mexico September 17th to go to Los Cabo, and then again we'll be there in Cabo again in October. So I am looking forward to both of those trips and hope to maybe slip in another trip in November or December. I'll see what I can do. But anyway, definitely it made me feel like I was going home, like Tracy said, the normalcy of it, just being able to be on an airplane. That first flight I took in June, I thought I will never take this for granted again, because I had traveled in January to Puerto Vallarta, Mexico, not even thinking that, a pandemic was ever going to, turn us upside down. And I had 4 trips canceled from March until June, because they were work related and conferences and group stuff, and so those things were canceled. And I thought, I guess I may not even travel till September. And so I really give a big shout out to Luke, my BDM with Hard Rock Resorts, who reached out to me and said, Samara, I want you to come have this experience so that you can share with others. And I was just super appreciative for that opportunity. And then again with Playa Resorts this last trip, and feel like if we can go and we can use our social media platforms and our expertise to help people feel comfortable and answer their questions, then I'm here for that and very thankful to do that. But definitely, if you are comfortable traveling, there's a lot of places that are now starting to safely open up. But hands down, always Mexico. I will always vote Mexico.
Excellent. I mean, and so I guess my something to take away from that is, again, excuse me, is it the normal of 2019? No. Can you get as close to that as possible? Yeah, you have to wear your mask, you have to wash your hands, things are different, but it still felt like a vacation. And I agree with both of you. Honestly, right now, I'd be happy to see, Lake Michigan on some days, let alone, Mexico. So, and I mean, I can, but again, it is kind of nice. All right. So I'm going to ask you both a random question. I do this to all my guests. And then we'll wrap it up. So Tracy, I'm going to ask you, because, I'm telling you right now, the answer can't be taco or burrito. Okay. Your favorite Mexican dish on or off property. Where is it? What is it?
In Mexico?
Yep.
Santa Fe restaurant at El Dorado Casitos, the braised short ribs. Oh my God. I mean, I have to get those every single time. My favorite.
Sounds amazing. See, I always try to incorporate food and music into this. So all right. So Samara, I'm not going to ask you to sing. You don't have to worry about the music question there. But so if you had to pick a resort right now that was your favorite, like if
oh no.
I know, random, right? So and what would it be? Why? Right now, where would you go if you could walk out your door and be at a resort, and why?
That's hard because I love so many for different reasons, but probably Unico 2087 right now would be one of my top choices. And they do a great job there. And Victor, one of the guys that's one of the sales managers there, he's just a really great guy, committed to taking care of all the guests. So.
All right. See, that wasn't that hard. You had one. So
I had many.
I get it. Hang on. Let me
been a hard one to answer.
Before we wrap up, hang on. Hey, do you guys have any questions? No, they haven't moved. I thought they must be just a captive audience.
Dale, share what that picture is behind you.
Yeah, so this picture is a real picture of mine. That is from Secrets Cozumel. And Tracy and Samara and a bunch of us went to tour the property. We toured that one. We toured Sunscape Cozumel. We toured Fiesta Americana Cozumel. But that was, what's that?
The Explorian.
Explorian, yes, Explorian. Thank you. I almost kind of forget that name every time, but I remember Fiesta Americana. Explorian slips me. But so that was actually from our restaurant. We were hosted by Secrets. And actually, the lady who took us around, she's not there anymore, Katie. But they hosted us for some lunch and drinks, and that was our view while we were having lunch. Which was a great trip. So yeah. So okay. So in fairness, gosh, we have like 14 people watching, and there's not a single question. I guess that is what it is. But in fairness to you,
we're
guys,
thorough, Dale. We were very thorough with our answers. I mean,
that's right. That's right. So before we wrap up, again, in fairness to you guys, you each own your own travel agencies. You each have your own clients, and you're helping me with my business. So Tracy, I would like you to plug your business, how people can get a hold of you, for those that are interested in dealing with a travel professional. So we'll start with you. So how do they get a hold of Tracy?
Well, they can get a hold of me either through Facebook. Tracy LaFontaine Lehman is my name on Facebook. My agency is Brazos Country Travel, and website is brazoscountry.com. They can find all of my contact information there. And again, I'm in South Central Texas. I'm halfway between Houston and Austin, so I service this whole area.
Hey, Tracy, tell them what you're famous for down there.
The Bluebell ice cream.
Yeah.
Which is amazing.
Amazing. And I don't eat much of it. Maybe I shouldn't say that. But my favorite is ice cream cone. And it's a deconstructed drumstick in a gallon of ice cream. So good.
Yeah, you got my attention. I can.
So good.
You ask any of the guys at the firehouse, I have a terrible sweet tooth, and it usually shows up at about 8 or 9 o'clock at night. And there's actually a song that I'm not going to sing, but it's a song about Dale's cravings, and usually it's cupcakes or ice cream or whatever. But that sounds amazing. So.
Well, there's the ice cream called Natural Vanilla Bean. Okay, so it's not as sweet as the homemade vanilla. And if you go to Jamaica or Mexico, so Jamaica has the Sangster's rum cream. You can only get it in Jamaica.
Okay.
And then in Mexico, you can buy the tequila. Samara, you guys help me. It's a tequila cream, possibly?
Yeah,
right?
I don't know the name of it, but I know what you're talking about.
Right.
I always get the coconut ice cream everywhere.
Right, and so what you do is you freeze either the Jamaican rum cream, or you freeze the cream tequila, and then you pour it on top of the natural vanilla bean ice cream, and then a little bit of chocolate drizzle on top of that.
See,
You don't have your attention.
Food makes all of us happy. All right, Samara, please tell everyone about your business one more time, how they can get a hold of you, and yeah.
Sure. I'm on all social media platforms, so Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter are my main ones. And under Amarillo Travel Network, or my name, Samara Mile. That's MEIL. It doesn't look like it should be Mile, but it is. And
See, I always say meal. I'm stupid.
No. Everyone does. I'm usually Samara Meal to everyone, and I come to it because I don't even notice. So don't worry about it. I am also, I have a website, AmarilloTravelNetwork.com. And, if anyone has any questions, whether they're a consumer or another travel agent, if you have questions about traveling to Mexico, maybe you haven't been yourself, or you have some clients about to go, or maybe you want to start planning a trip, reach out to Tracy, Dale, or I, because we would love to visit with you about that and make sure that you get all your questions answered and your, concerns, maybe put to rest. And hopefully we can help. And I know Tracy, I was following her journey because she came back recently after I did. And, we were all posting. And so I even have a video where I was stalking the cleaning crew at the Cancun airport. They were like spraying down the chairs and wiping them everywhere. Everything was so clean. I was like, oh my gosh. I watched them for like a full hour. And so finally I was like, I'm going to creep and take a video because it was so impressive.
And again, so something I do want to bring up real quick before we wrap up, because we're going to wrap up, is I want everyone to take note. You know, a lot of people, I mean, travel agencies are kind of a sales business or whatever. And a lot of times, you know, it's a dog eat dog world, and like, you know, in sales in general. And so when you're working with me, or you're working with Tracy, or you're working with Samara, you know, we help each other out. It's for the same reason that they're here right now. You know, this is something I've been trying to do for my consumers. And there's times where clients want to go somewhere that I haven't been, and I can reach out to people like Samara or Tracy or the other Tracy who's not here, you know, or Brad or Lori or, you know, Candace or whatever. I mean, we've all networked. And so when you use a travel professional, we network
Yes.
deeper than you think. And in most cases, we do work together. We're willing to work together, you know, because at the end of the day, we want two things. We want happy clients, and we want informed clients, and we'll go to any length we can to deliver our clients the best information possible. So, you know, so like I said, they own their own businesses. We're helping each other out. That's how we become successful. That's how you become a happier client, because we have those resources. So with that, we're going to wrap up, and I'm going to give my information. I guess I should sell myself, you know, a little bit here.
That's important, Dale.
It is. My name is Dale Holste. I am the owner of Priority One Travel, located in Northwest Indiana. You can call me 219-232-8244. Dale at Priority One Travel is the email, PriorityOneTravel.com. Facebook, Priority One Travel, Instagram, Twitter, and the website is www.PriorityOneTravel.com. We also have a podcast. You can listen to this if you don't want to look at me. I don't blame you. And that is on anchor.fm or other podcasting services. So again, Samara, Tracy, bless you. Thank you. And I can't wait to see you guys again real soon.
Thank you, Dale.
Thanks,
This means
Dale.
so much. We appreciate you.
Take care.
Take care.
Bye.